We're going to go ahead and talk to Justin in North Carolina. Justin in North Carolina, you are on the line with Jimmy and Adalind. How are you, Justin?
I'm well. How are you doing, sir?
Just fine. How's North Carolina this time of year?
It's been raining most of the day, but it's pretty good, pretty good. It's cooler than Georgia anyway. Georgia's still hot.
We could use that over in Texas, that rain right now. All right, Justin. Well,
Yeah,
it says you're here to talk about your vote, and it looks like your vote was this last November for Donald Trump.
correct.
How
Yeah, no,
many of your votes
I
were for
chose
Donald Trump?
like me and my family included, you mean?
No. I mean, Trump versus Harris. You voted Trump, right?
Yes.
And
That
versus
was the first
Biden.
time I voted for him. No, didn't vote for him. Didn't vote for Biden either.
Who'd you vote for in
It was
2020?
more of a I didn't vote for either Clinton or Trump. I thought both, well, still
Did you
kind
vote
of the
third
same
party?
sentiment as I had then. No, I didn't vote for anyone then because
In
I felt like
2016.
Clinton was terrible. Yeah, I felt like Clinton was terrible, but I didn't think Trump being a TV, you know, I never liked Trump before he even ran for politics. I just thought he was this
Hmm.
goofy guy that wanted to be famous. But
Okay.
I will say I liked a lot of what he said. It was just like, can this guy actually do this, or is this an ego thing for him? Because I do think he's an egomaniac, and still do.
So did you vote third party or you
But
didn't vote in 2016?
I didn't vote at all.
Okay. So and
Yep.
Trump was too much, but in 2024 you got your vote. Do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I am 39.
39. You said that you asked about your family. How big of a family do you have, if you don't mind? Any question I ask, if it starts to feel too personal, you don't have to answer, but I like to get
No,
as
it's
much
fine.
profile of person as I
Uh,
can.
I have a wife and a son.
Wife and son is the wife or I say is the son voting age? I almost said is the wife voting age. I really hope so, Justin, but is the son
No, my son is 17. He'll be 18 in December.
okay? So you voted Trump the 2024, no vote 20 and 16. Just out of curiosity, who did your wife vote for? If you know, if you feel confident in those three
Trump,
elections, who did she vote
Trump,
for? All three or just this
Trump.
last one?
The last two,
Last two. Gotcha.
so
So more
2020 and
conservative than you,
2024.
more MAGA than you by 2020. All right. So we've got
Yes.
Justin. Justin's 39. Him and his wife voted Trump. He did not vote for Trump before that, feeling he was too goofy, doing it for the attention. Seems like you were getting a narcissism vibe. But somewhere between 2016 and 2024, he won your heart and you voted for him over Kamala Harris. And now that we've set up that whole profile, I would just love to know why.
Well, a lot of things. I mean, everybody pushes this trans stuff as being an issue, and I don't like personally. I don't care what anyone does with their sexuality or anything. I am a Christian, but I'm not here to judge what you do. My issue was the teaching kids, like when I was, you've heard these arguments, but I agree with, like, when you're 5 years old, you might think you're a Ninja Turtle. Like, you don't know what you are at that age. So if you're having fun playing with your sister, you might want to be a girl. Then the next day you might want to be a boy. You don't have the logic and reason in your brain to decide these things. So these people that say it's okay to tell a 5-year-old you get to choose your gender, I think that's patently absurd, just because if you talk to a 5-year-old for 5 minutes, they're not smart enough to pick out dinner, much less their gender. And then if you affirm that and say, no, you
Mhm.
said you wanted to be a girl, so now you're a girl. You can't change that. This is what you want to be. You just don't be scared. And I
Hey,
think a
Justin.
lot of people love the idea of having a trans child.
I just didn't know how long to have you go on because I could have told you at the
I'm sorry.
beginning
Yeah.
of your monologue there, but we waited till the end now. That
Yeah.
none of what you described is a position that Kamala Harris supported, nor is it a public policy position. So you fell
No,
for
but it
right
was.
wing
Oh,
propaganda.
sorry.
There is no stance that we should be teaching kids as young as 5 that they are trans. There is certainly not a single person, even in the queer movement, saying that if a kid says they think they might be a girl and then change their mind back, that you prohibit them. In fact, it is just about the only things there are, and certainly not at 5 years old, is including in sex education the ability to teaching children that certain people exist, so that language exists already, which we already know is a good way to prevent a child from being abused, because they're able to recognize ways in which they might be being abused. So none of what you described was a Kamala Harris policy. Go on.
I also
Let me
believe
ask you
that
a question.
Let Adalind reply first.
Yeah, I was about to say, you go ahead.
I also just want to add that gender can actually be a really fluid thing. Like, in the past, my teen years, I identified as gender fluid, and I really believe that I was more gender fluid back then, and now I've kind of just evolved into like more feminine, non-binary. And I also know plenty of people who gave something a try. They decided they didn't like it, and then they moved on. Like, that's kind of like the beautiful thing about being queer, is that you are not stuck in those solid boxes, that you are allowed to explore that if you want to and change your mind, or maybe stick with it if you like it.
So Justin, as you reply, instead of resorting to
weird?
a Fox News summary of what they think are happening with kids in school, would you give us specific policies of either the Democratic platform or Kamala Harris that would have, to that end, something that would have actually happened?
Well, now, I said that was that's not the whole thing. I said everybody talks about this. I don't think Kamala was qualified whatsoever.
Kamala.
I don't personally like Trump, but I didn't think she was qualified either.
Would you have, so let me just ask you this then.
President.
Would you have preferred, since Joe Biden had been a senator prior and had been a vice president prior, would you say that he was more qualified than Kamala Harris, so would have at least been better because he was a senator and a vice president?
Well, maybe 20 years earlier. I mean, the Joe Biden
Sure,
we
but
got
on that basis, whether he's younger or not, you'd say because he used to be a senator and a vice president, he at least was more qualified than Kamala Harris.
Maybe on paper. I don't know about actually, some people on paper
so let me ask
have
you,
qualifications.
What was Kamala Harris's resume again?
Well, she was a district attorney in California.
Attorney General.
And then Attorney General, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was something else in California, but she held like a
senator,
an official role, senator.
A senator.
Yes.
And what was she after she was a senator?
I couldn't tell you. Well, she was vice president.
Vice president, right. So listen, here's what I'm hearing from you. Donald Trump, never been a politician, has admitted he used to use money to play the political game, and obviously still does. Never been a politician, much like like a pilot of an aircraft. Never had a pilot's license, right? Never been a politician. But your problem is Kamala Harris wasn't more qualified. So let's go then. No, Justin, I'm going to finish, and then you will get to respond, Justin. You will get to respond, Justin. I promise you. Justin,
go ahead.
I promise you're going to get to respond, but I'm going to finish.
Go ahead.
Joe Biden was a vice president and a senator. Qualification-wise, like you said, maybe 20 years ago, you still disagree with him, but more qualified. Kamala Harris was a vice president, a senator, and an attorney general, was in politics her whole life. And while I'm not a Democrat and don't like things she did as an attorney general, the concept of qualified, she is actually more qualified. Her resume is more qualified than virtually anybody who has been president in either of our lifetime. So please do explain to me why Kamala Harris, attorney general, an elected position, senator, an elected position, and vice president, an elected position, did not qualify her, which was your word. She's not qualified. And I dare you to be completely honest, but I wonder if you will be. Go ahead. What is it that makes her not qualified?
Well, Trump was president prior, so we knew what his stance on things were.
You said she was not qualified.
Yeah, I don't. I just personally don't like her. I thought Hillary Clinton was very qualified for the job, and she
So
probably
why
would
wasn't
have done a
Kamala
good
Harris
job.
qualified? You're still not answering. Why
I
was
didn't like her.
Hillary?
Oh, I didn't.
Uh,
Oh, I just didn't like her demeanor. I didn't like the way she talked. I didn't like the way she laughed uncontrollably
uh-huh,
when she got nervous.
uh-huh.
I didn't
Hey,
think that
Justin,
she could be very statesmanship like.
laugh, talk, demeanor. Can you
Does
name
that
That's
for
a
me a
big
black
mean
thing when you're
woman
voting
whose
for
laugh,
somebody.
talk, and demeanor? Can you name for me a black woman you would support who has adequate laugh, talk, and demeanor to be president?
I like Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama. So Michelle Obama,
I
who's
think
not been
she's
a
very
senator,
good.
who's not been an attorney general, who's never gotten an elected position, you would
Yeah, I
vote for
don't think.
Michelle Obama over Trump?
I know. I don't know. I don't know that I would vote for her, but I do know that I like her. I like the way. I
Okay.
like her
So
attitude and stuff. No, I don't know
qualifications
that I would vote for her.
qualifications don't come down to whether or not they actually have the resume, that they've done the jobs
No,
that
the
would
P. Yeah.
qualify them there. They're whether or not to you, Justin, am I crazy for assuming you're a white man?
Yes.
Are
Yes,
you a
I
white
am.
man? Okay, yes. Are
Yes.
you cisgender, as in not trans?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Are you straight?
Yeah. Yeah. I told you I have a wife and kids.
Gotcha. So as far as black female politicians that you would like more as a politician, it's not based on resume. It's based on whether or not, so far, the three things, qualifications you gave when you said was not qualified is
Is
how do they laugh, how do they talk, and what is their
What's
demeanor?
the demeanor?
is
And that's what
is
you're holding
is
against Kamala
AOC
Harris over
is
Donald Trump.
AOC? Yeah. Yeah. She
Mhm.
just isn't likable. I mean, that's as
Mm,
cut and dry as I can be. Like, I
mhm,
don't necessarily agree with AOC's policies, but I like her.
mhm.
I like her fierce, like how, like she will, if she believes in it, she goes for it, and it doesn't make a damn who likes it or don't like it. She's going after it, and I like that drive. I like the passion.
Mhm.
And I
And
felt
she's
like
hot,
Kamala.
but that doesn't have anything to do with it, right?
No, not at all.
Definitely
Um,
not.
Sure.
but no, well, you can assume whatever you want, but that's not the case.
I sided with
Um,
you. What do you
but
mean?
what?
I said that you
I
were
don't
totally
actually
telling the
know.
truth. I believe you.
I, but um, well, you didn't have that to say when I said Michelle Obama. I find that curious.
No, I explained to you very, very. You gave me, I asked you for a black woman. You named one. Now, do I believe if I went to social media, your social media, if you had a Twitter or something, that I would find that you're as supportive as Michelle Obama as you're saying right now? I suspect, but I don't know. I suspect there might be a different story told there. But I asked you,
There wouldn't be
a black
anything
woman who
about
you would
there
support.
wouldn't
You
be
did say
anything.
you wouldn't actually support Michelle Obama still. You wouldn't still vote for her, which is what I
I said
asked
I
you
didn't
for.
know
A
if I
black
would.
I
I
asked
said
you
I
for a
didn't
black
know
woman
that I
you would
would.
consider qualified and would vote for. But anyway, you went with Michelle Obama on the basis of she would make a better president, not
I know
because of
when
her
I would vote for
resume,
her.
not because
I
of her
know when I'd
resume,
vote
but
for her.
because she has a better laugh, talk, and demeanor. One could say she is, I don't know, assimilated a little better. Maybe that would be a
Mm,
way. Maybe that might be a way to put it. Uh,
No.
I,
Oh,
I
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
looking. I'm
it.
just looking for a way to square your circle here, buddy. So, Justin, what was positive about
Well,
Donald Trump? Because you
what did
haven't
she
given
just
me a
say?
negative
Can't we
Kamala
be
Harris
fluid
policy
here?
yet. Sorry, what?
Can't we be fluid here?
You
I
can
mean,
get
I
your
can be
fluids all
fluid in
over
my
here, buddy.
thoughts, can I? Can I be fluid in
Definitely.
my thoughts?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
we've already discovered there are some black women you
And
like and some you
didn't
don't. That's
Kamala
fluid.
didn't Kamala keep people in
Kamala.
prison? Kamala, didn't she keep
Mhm.
people in prison that wasn't supposed to be for like fighting wildfires and stuff like that when she was
No, the
in
wildfire thing is
California?
crazy, but yes, she has essentially the top cop of the nation, definite of her, not
mm,
nation, of her state, definitely went full cop. She did some shitty things as a cop, and I think that that was shitty. But I had two choices to make on November 5th, and I chose the less shitty one. But definitely,
Well, see, that's
she
where
supported.
I have the same feeling. I just chose the other side,
Yes, but
but
your
I
so you
have
other
the
chose the
same
side is
more
exact
shitty
feeling.
one?
I took a small bowl of dog shit and you took all of the dog shit that's ever been shat, especially the stuff that's runny and with blood in it. You picked the worst person to ever be president over somebody who would have been a status quo genocidal against the Middle East, like just, normal everyday America stuff.
Hold on. What about George Bush? I thought that was him.
He sucks too.
Yeah, George Bush would also have been better than Donald Trump. If I had to vote between George Bush and Donald Trump, I would have voted Bush.
Hell yeah.
So you think we should have went over to Iraq and killed people over some
What does
shit we
that have to
couldn't
do
even
with this
prove?
conversation?
Excuse me, Justin, I said if I had to pick between Bush and Trump, I would pick Bush, because what we did in Iraq, what we did in response to 9/11, if Trump had been in that position, it would have been even worse. It was bad under Bush, but it would have been even worse.
Hypotheticals. You don't know that. You're playing hypotheticals. You don't know that.
I'm playing hypotheticals on the basis of a lot of exceptional evidence. For example, the current way he is behaving with the crisis in Gaza, how explicitly he is not just supporting their genocide and ethnic cleansing, but looking to fund it and now looking to make himself the head of the transitional government over there. And then I'd also point to the way that he is recklessly playing with us going to war with countries like Argentina, like Venezuela, doing things like bombing people, bombing boats from civilians from countries that are attached to us by land. Everything we could say is hypothetical, but you saying he wouldn't be worse would also be hypothetical.
Justin,
so who has the better position based on the actual information we have?
But you're saying playing with going to war and actually going to war, which is what Bush did. Trump hasn't gone to war. In his first presidency,
Donald Trump has definitely committed acts of war. When you say they haven't gone to war, it's because the countries basically haven't declared war back. But he has also expanded and exploded multiple war conflicts, both in his first term during the Yemenis genocide and now during Gaza. And after promises of ending wars, is committing acts of war on other countries. And by the way, declaring war...
That's where I'll agree with you.
Excuse me.
That's where I'll agree with you.
When you say he hasn't gone to war, he's been declaring war on American cities.
Like Chicago.
Yeah, I don't really care
Portland,
for that either.
They're going to find out why. We're going to show them why we call it the Department of War, sharing photos of Chicago on fire. They literally had today a summit where they brought in all these generals from across the world and just jerked off on stage about how homicidal they are. How Pete Hegseth going up there bragging that they are reducing the what are the rules of engagement, and basically saying, no, you're a lethal force. Fuck rules of engagement. You're there to kill, go kill. And Donald Trump up there, Donald Trump, you're trying to pretend isn't like fucking getting turned on in as much as he still can. He's a rather old man by the concept of war, but is changing the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Like, what are your values?
You don't think it was very strange that we kept getting told, oh, Biden, he's healthy. There's nothing wrong with him, and you're ageist if you think that there is something wrong with him, when he couldn't string together two sentences, and we were constantly lied to.
Justin, you need a link directly to the video from a year or two before the election where I said he absolutely cannot run for re-election. That would be absolutely absurd.
Well,
because it's several of them. You're talking to me. I haven't supported Biden being the nominee at any point. So for you to sit here and be like, you don't think it's strange that clearly they lied? Yes, they lied. It wasn't as bad as your side portrays it as. In fact, Biden is still present day, still more cognitively functional, even though not on a debate stage, than your current dementia-riddled president who can't keep the poopy in his pants.
Well,
you don't want to do the age thing. Why are you sitting here? You're going to want to do the age thing about an election that Biden wasn't a part of. You know who doesn't have dementia? You know who isn't having age-related? You know who isn't having age-related brain rot? You know who isn't on their way out of this world and so actually has an active stake in what happens to it? Kamala Harris, who you voted against.
Have you read her new book?
I am not a Democrat. So if you're sitting here and pretending that I'm going to read that and be like, oh, well, now I support her. I don't support Kamala Harris. She's a piece of shit as a person. But against Donald Trump, I do support her as the president when those are your choices. Yes, I know in her new book, she basically solidified that she's a piece of shit.
Me and you pretty much agree on the thing. We just chose different sides, but we both agree that neither one of them are great choices. You just think my choice was worse, and I think yours was worse.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm saying you chose Hitler,
and you think I did.
You chose Hitler, and I chose Bush. I chose Bush. That's basically the difference.
That's an absurd statement.
It isn't.
He's Hitler. You know that.
It isn't. No, excuse me. No, I don't know that. I absolutely think Donald Trump is currently actively involved in genocide. Did it in his first thing. I think he looks to see his enemies dead. He literally at a funeral 2 weeks ago says, I hate my enemies and wish the worst for them. He's opening concentration camps. What? He's talking about sending American citizens there after we do after the deportation's done, we're going to have to look at sending some of our own people. He's making a broad thing that doesn't exist as an organization, Antifa, which literally means anti-fascist and doesn't have an organization, a terrorist organization. And he is currently using his FCC to try and put pressure, as well as other deals he's having, as we see with these settlements with ABC and Disney and the one that George, as he calls Slopadopoulos, is on. He is literally using the government to put pressure, enrich himself, and threatening their deals and their mergers and everything unless they play ball with him, which is like direct Goebbels level censorship. The idea that you're sitting here going, I think it's absurd that he's Hitler. I think if Donald Trump could get away with a Holocaust, the reason you don't go straight to a Holocaust is the last guy didn't get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy, listen, I love to hear you talk, but Biden's White House did the exact same thing. They threatened YouTube. They threatened Facebook.
No, they didn't.
Brother, look it up. It 100%.
Yes, I will. Excuse me, Justin, I can even tell you the report it was in. He called Mark Zuckerberg went to Congress and testified that there was pressure put on, but also said at the end of the day, he made the decisions and no threat was made. So yes, every government has said, hey, this is information, which by the way, so did Donald Trump. And this is nowhere near at the same scale as do this or we'll pull your deals, we'll pull your licenses, we'll make sure that your company goes out of business. None of that happened under Biden. You're just sitting there repeating.
They did everything they wanted them to do.
No, they absolutely did not.
Wanted them to do.
No, they absolutely. It's hilarious that you people say that, where you're like, oh yeah, they shut down the anti-vax arguments. They shut down the Hunter laptop stuff. They used their power to make sure. And yet then how come I never stopped hearing about it?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
if they shut it down and they censored it all, how come I heard about it nonstop and debated it nonstop on my channels?
Well, because it wasn't widely reported, but Facebook, I'm trying to think of when he said it, but Zuckerberg said what they did was limit the engagement it could be received because they were told it was Russian propaganda, which was obviously a lie, but the government told them it was Russian propaganda.
It wasn't obviously a lie. It wasn't obviously a lie. And in fact, a lot of those things were, in fact, when they were testifying about what to censor, he wants to back off things that will continue to let Russia bots. This is the thing. I can tell by the way you're recalling the details.
They said
all you've read, stop, Justin. All you have read is headlines, and you think you know the topic we're on. Who is the head of the committee that, by the way, made this report?
What report are you talking about?
The report that who was the head of the committee that he went and testified to? I'll give you a hint. The initials are JJ.
I have no clue.
Yeah, because you don't even know what the report that you are trying to relay facts from. Jim Jordan, who is a partisan hack, I know him. Yeah, I know him. Right, and he is a partisan hack. It is his report you are quoting, and the things that he is trying to change about the words Zuckerberg actually said in his testimony to his committee. So you're sitting here you're trying to headline it when none of it comes down there. And you're going, and they said it was Russian propaganda when it wasn't. Actually, it was, because even when things have a nugget of truth, their robots come in And their social media apparatus comes and blasts you with it so that you think it is a ginormous conspiracy when it isn't. It's against public health.
How about the Russian? How about Russia got Trump elected in 2016? How about all the bullshit we dealt with from
Russia did.
17
Russia
to 20?
Russia absolutely assisted in the only thing that Donald Trump was. Excuse me, Justin.
Theorist.
Justin, the only that's
theorist.
what the nonpartisan reports say, including from the Republicans. The only thing Trump was cleared on was no direct evidence of that he himself colluded with Russia. People in his circle did and went to prison for it. Yeah, it turns out we can't prove he was a Russian agent. Only his people, only Michael Flynn, only Oliver Stone, right? Like you're sitting here and going,
Russia.
They
didn't
never
go to prison for Russia. They didn't go to prison for Russia.
Yes, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
They would have been locked up for treason if they did that. They did not go to prison for Russia.
No, we don't use treason laws that way. And guess what? And guess why they're not in prison anymore? Do you know?
Well, I would assume Trump pardoned them.
Yeah, no shit, Trump pardoned him because he does not have a single modicum of respect for you or anybody besides himself. Maybe Ivanka, but that's his first love.
If he pardoned them, that means he has respect for them. You just, like what you said just made no sense.
If he pardoned them, that's because he has respect for him? Yes, he respects anybody who breaks any law to his advantage.
Well, you just said he had no respect for no one except for maybe Ivanka, which is trying to make it like as far as like an existential.
If today Michael Flynn said, "I'm no longer on Trump's side, screw that guy," that would be it for Trump. He would just be like, "You said." Actually, wouldn't even take that. If he went out there and was like, "I think Donald Trump's going a little too far with the Department of War," Donald Trump would be all caps tweeting about. But Donald Trump does reward people who do his mob style loyalty, right? And I don't even think you disagree with that. January 6th, he doesn't know who the January 6ers are. He doesn't have respect for them as individuals, but they broke the law on his behalf. And he wants to broadcast out to the world, if you break the law for me, to give me more power, to keep me more power, I have your back. Don't worry about it. I got you.
Yeah, he does. He does operate like a mob boss. I will give you that.
Yeah, no shit. And that's who you wanted as president over Kamala Harris, who would have been status quo Democrat politician, who probably would have at least expanded a little bit of healthcare. You'd have less people, and eventually it's going to hit you, that are going to have the Medicare, losing their Medicare and their Medicaid. And you would have had this stupid tariff thing, which you already know, Justin, is ruining your ability to buy things and is only going to make inflation worse and make your cost of living go up. But he's getting super rich off of a crypto scam. So what does he give a fuck about you?
Well, the tariff thing, I've heard arguments on both sides, so I'm not sure about that.
You've not heard a single good pro. You've not heard a single good pro blanket tariff argument, because they don't exist. It is blanket, or it is economics 101 that you do not blanket tariff, that it's terrible for economies. You only use selective tariffs to
positives about tariffs. Yes.
Nobody has said that tariffs are always bad. They're saying his blanket tariff policies and using them as a threat and undermining and destroying our relationships with nations who now, instead of making a deal with us, are moving to China instead. All of these countries are literally going like, all right, fuck you, America. Now that you're so volatile, I might not like that China has human rights issues, but you know what they are? They're steady, and my people can count on them. So we're losing these deals. We're losing our status in the world. Go ahead, Justin.
I got a question. What's the last U.S. president that didn't support everything Israel was doing? That stopped them from doing something?
Well, obviously, it would have been before the occupation of Gaza, before the occupation of Palestine by Israel. But I don't understand what you think what do you think this question is going to benefit? I don't think Kamala Harris was good the Israel thing. I think she was awful.
That was what I was saying, because you were talking about what Trump's doing with
Kamala Harris is a terrible genocide-enabling monster. There you go. You got your soundbite. It does not change literally the calculus of everything I've said so far. And even on the genocide in Gaza, better than Trump.
Yeah, I definitely don't like what's going on over there by any means.
Well, Netanyahu, the fascist monster, you voted for the president he endorsed.
Well, it is what it is on that. But either way,
Genocide. That's what it
I
is. You
was
can say the whole
thinking,
thing. When you say it is what it is, you can say what it is.
because
It's genocide.
yeah, I agree. But you know, I mean, and Trump's a liar. I voted for him. I still stand behind voting for him. But he
On
said he was
shaky
going to
grounds
stop
because
the
he
wars
laughs
in a
better.
day. Yeah, well, he doesn't really laugh, but rarely smiles. But
Sounds like a great,
either way,
great guy. I can have a beer with him.
no,
Oh, he
I
doesn't
don't
even
think
drink
he's.
beer.
No, I don't
I
think
think a
he's.
beer might kill him.
I don't think
Get him
he's
a
an
beer.
overall. No, well, the way he eats McDonald's, you would think he was a damn machine. He should have been dead 20 years ago.
Yes, the worst people often have strange longevity.
That is, well,
They
they
do
might make a
drugs
deal with the
until like a
wrong
long
guy.
time.
What is the best thing Donald Trump has done?
The best thing Trump has done. Well, in his first term, he did some good things. This go around, I don't know that I could say much that he's done
What was
that
the
I'm
good things he
really
did in
a
his first term?
fan. Well, he got those at the very end of his presidency. He got the peace deals, or Jared Kushner got the peace deals with Egypt and all that stuff, which
He stabilized the Middle
I still
East?
think is a good thing. Well,
They
that
didn't get any deals.
stabilized those countries.
They got concepts of deals. Let's be clear. The Middle East
They
is
hadn't
still a
gone to war since
destabilized
then.
mess. That you think that
You got
anything of
They
significance happened there, and that anybody who's going to
those
hold to anything is
countries
crazy.
those countries haven't gone to war since it happened.
Egypt? Was Egypt on the brink of war?
Yeah, but they didn't go to war, and Trump was in office when they
Wow,
again,
they didn't
well,
go to war
he
under
has so
Obama.
much.
So Obama's an incredible statesman too. You agree?
Trump has so much bluster. Yes, Obama was
Uh,
the best talking, speaking president I believe we've ever
he had a
had.
good laugh, talk, and demeanor.
Yes, he did.
You know,
Yes,
for
he
one
did.
of them.
See, now you're trying to make me sound racist because I'm white, and that's
Oh,
absurd.
sir, Justin, I don't think I have to try. I think that earlier, it's clear that you've only been able to say character things about Kamala Harris and not name a single policy of hers. And you literally described laugh, talk, and demeanor as what made her not qualified. I think
Yeah, but that
if we
doesn't mean
Occam's razor
that
it,
doesn't mean. Well,
Justin, if it makes you feel any better,
yeah.
I don't think it was only racism. I think there was a little sexism too.
Hey, brother,
I
it
have
has
a good
nothing to do
reason.
with either.
I have a
Okay.
good reason why I don't like Kamala Harris. It's because
Go ahead.
she put sex workers in jail as a cop.
She did what?
She put
Oh,
plenty
she
of
put
sex workers in jail.
jail?
hmm
Hey, Justin, do you think sex work
Yeah,
should be illegal?
yeah, I do.
Why?
Why?
Why it should be legal?
Illegal.
Illegal.
Oh, no, I think it should be legal.
See, prostitution
How about-
legal?
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be. Like, again, I'm a Christian, so I don't think we should be doing it, but I also think two consenting adults should be able to do what they want to do, and if one's paying and the other consents to receiving the money for this job, duty, action, whatever you want to call it, they should be able to legally do it.
So before you voted
Okay.
for Donald Trump, did you read Project 2025?
He said that wasn't his bill or his plan.
And what did everybody say in response to that?
I don't know. The man said it wasn't his
Okay,
thing.
well, we
so
pointed out a
I
few
didn't-
things. He said that wasn't his thing, but first of all, he had already begun fulfilling it in his first term. Second of all, the person who wrote the foreword to the book, the publication on Project 2025, was literally his vice president. And the people responsible for Project 2025 are also the people who chose his Supreme Court nominees. And so it just wasn't at all believable. So now, Justin, now that he has become president and we told you it was definitely his thing, has that turned out to be true? Were we right when we told you it was his thing, or has he proven it was that we were lying and that it wasn't his thing?
Well, it all hadn't been fulfilled, so we'll see.
What percentage has been
but I do
fulfilled,
believe
and
in
what
it.
percentage is
I
still
do
in?
believe.
What percentage of
I
Project
believe in a
2025 has been
separation of
fulfilled?
church and state.
Donald Trump
I
doesn't.
believe in separation of church and state.
What
I
percentage
don't
of
even
Project
think Donald
2025
Trump's
has
that
been
religious.
fulfilled?
Well, you have to
What would
think
you
of there
guess?
could be coincidences in what Donald Trump thinks and what they think, but some of their things, I don't remember the whole deal. I mean, the whole like their whole plan. Whenever it
Mhm.
first got popular, I looked into
I
it,
doubt you. I
but
doubt you know any of the plan.
I mean, they made it
well, then that was
ridiculously long
2
on
years ago.
purpose.
Well, that's
Current
every well.
in the most recent independent tracker of the proposal, 317 proposals in Project 2025. How many of those 317 would you guess have been fulfilled?
272.
It's crazy because you went with a higher number, and yet a moment ago it's 115, many of them very large. So the overall percentage tracked right now is 47% complete, with I believe it's an additional 25 to 30% in active progress, and he still has 3 years to go. But you went with a higher number that would have made it like 80% complete, and yet the words out of your mouth beforehand were essentially, well, maybe it's coincidental overlap.
Well, Jimmy, I did that because that was a leading question because you wanted me to say a low percentage so you could say, boom, gotcha. So
Oh, you
I
lied.
knew
Oh,
what
so
you were doing.
you lied you lied and made yourself
100%.
look worse and hypocritical because you didn't want to play into what you thought was going to be a trick.
It's not lying. I mean,
It
it's just,
was.
I'm fucking around with you, Jimmy. Like, I
You
mean, I don't even, how many
I
people are
asked you a
listening to us
question, you
right
answered
now?
with a purposefully untrue statement. What is the
Are
definition
you
of
a
lying?
troll?
But then after I did tell you the truth afterwards. So
Well,
it
you
ain't
never
like
gave
I
me the
left you
number.
hanging on a lie.
You
Because
never
I
gave
couldn't
me the
tell you. I
number.
have no clue. I have no clue.
I
Anything
asked
would have
you
been
if
a
you
guess.
had to guess because you said that it was potentially
And that
coincidental
was the
overlap.
first,
So now that
that
those
was the
numbers have
first
been
number that came to my brain.
now that those numbers have been disclosed to you, would you admit that vast amount of completion plus inactive process suggests that actually it wasn't a coincidence, and in fact Donald Trump is mostly pro Project 2025?
Oh, I have no doubt some of their stuff he would
That's not what I
definitely
said.
agree with. Yeah,
That
I
it's
have no
more
doubt
than a
that.
coincidence.
Well, when was Project 2025 written? Like, when did they actually publish it?
Years before the election, it was also publicly in an active formation during the entire 4 years that he was away. And the whole thing was, we get him reelected, and this time we do this so that we take power in America. So with plenty of, and by the way, with enough warning that he was able to respond to it, with enough warning that we were able to tell you that he's lying to you. And now the original question was, who was lying? Us saying he is for Project 25, or him when you evaluate how much of the stuff he has done?
Well, I would like to know how many things you were wrong about, because you probably don't talk about that, do you, Jimmy?
Go ahead and give me an example of a
Or
thing you think I was wrong about.
brother, I've never heard of you. I mean, this
Then,
popped up on my
so you
YouTube
just
when I
want
was
to
watching
me to
something else.
broadly bring up things? I don't know. The other day,
Well, no. What you do
Mhm.
is you say something, and if you're right, then you keep talking about how you were right about those things. So
Uh-huh.
you probably have said things in the past that didn't come to be true. But in an argument, you're not going to say, "Oh yeah, well, I was wrong about this one thing."
How do
You're
you know
going
that?
to
Wait.
hone in
Why are you
more
making
on
that
what
claim?
I've said.
If I have a thing that I need to
Because
come clean about, being wrong
that's what
about,
smart
or
people do.
explain. So you're just
That's what
broadly
smart
saying,
people
you're
do.
bringing up this point to get away from the debate, and you want to get to an ad hominem now of, you
No,
think that if
brother,
I was
I've been
wrong
ready to get
about
off the phone
something,
for 10 minutes.
you think that if I was wrong about something, I wouldn't come clean about it, I wouldn't admit it. Are you just wanting me to list off things I remember being wrong about right now?
I think if someone listened to you day in and day out, I don't know how often you go live, like I don't know how often you do this, but I think
Sure.
if someone were
Pretty
to call
often.
you and call you on it, you would say yes. I'm sure it'll pop up in my feed a lot more now since, I watched it for about 30 seconds before I called you,
Mhm.
and was like, let me call that. Because, even though we disagree, I like your two vibe, and even though I don't agree with you on a lot of things, you seem, we just disagree, but doesn't mean you can't be a good person and, all those things. So
Okay.
I was like, well, I'll call in. We can disagree, but agree to disagree.
Oh, I don't agree to disagree, because that sort of suggests when people want your acceptance of that statement, it's sort of like saying, like, can we just sit here and both acknowledge that we both have our opinions and they're as valid as each other? And no, I actually see your opinion and any MAGA opinion. And by the way, if you're watching right now and you're MAGA and you think you have an opinion that's superior to me that you can back up with facts, that phone number is right there. We'll be on the phone with Justin for probably a couple minutes more, but we're ready to talk to you. 336-54-32101. Easy to remember, 336-54-32101. It's on the screen there. And you can call in and tell us we're wrong. But no, I don't just agree to disagree, because I think that's a tactic that's not worth. I think that's trying to pretend there's inequality between their opinions, and I think your opinion is monumentally inferior to mine.
There are definitely political opinions that somebody could have that could make somebody a bad person.
Jimmy, let's be honest. A great debater and someone who knows all this information isn't sitting online watching your show and going to call in. You know that.
Why not?
You know most people that's calling in are going to be people like me that just have an opinion, follow this and there, watch Joe Rogan. That's who's going to disagree with you, but they're not going to have all the facts. They're not going to have all this because they're doing their own shows, Jimmy.
Everybody is it your position? Hang on. It's your position that anybody who would be browsing YouTube, whose algorithm I might get into, that anybody who doesn't have a YouTube show and isn't an active debater will not have adequate facts to back up their opinions? That's what you believe the MAGA specifically base looks like?
I would think some people would be, but I would think they would be doing what you're doing. If you're a good debater, you're a good talker, right? So you've got a show, so you expose those to everyone else, and then you feel like you're smarter than them because you have this information.
I don't need
I would say you need to.
I've gotten so bored of feeling smarter than MAGA people that it does nothing for me, not even a wiggle down there. I think you're trying to make an excuse for why you've done so poorly, and you're trying to make an excuse for why I think that you're trying to say it's not that MAGA is dumb, it's that the people who would be good enough to debate you both aren't calling, and they're not even, I have a big enough platform, they're not even emailing me, challenging me to formal debates, asking and wanting me to appear on their things. They're staying pretty far away, despite the fact that we get millions of views each month between all of our platforms. So I would actually say back to you, Jimmy, Justin, the reason why they're not calling in isn't that they're dumb, isn't that they're not good debaters, it's that they know that their dishonest debate tactics work to get people like you to follow them, but will get absolutely massively shut down if they come to me. However, there are plenty of intelligent people who do call in. Excuse me, Justin. There are plenty of intelligent people who call in and have much more honest conversations than you've just had. And for example, how you tried to make this completely about the quality of the debate.
You started this by trying to make me a racist and a sexist off the jump, not knowing me.
I think that your parents did that, not me.
You started off as and you know nothing about my life. You do not know anything, but you started by saying that.
It's funny because
you didn't know that
until
my son
later
was black,
I didn't explicitly say I suspect you're racist.
Told you.
All I did was ask you questions, and you were uncomfortable with what it exposed about yourself.
No,
I think internally you need to think.
You started leading. No, you started leading into that. That's how I knew where you were going. I don't feel uncomfortable with any of it.
Justin, I think you actually need to sit down with yourself and go, okay, what do I really mean by unqualified? Should I vote for a person on the basis of their laugh, talk, and demeanor, as you say, or their actual qualifications? And if I draw a line down and I put Trump's qualifications and character versus hers and get rid of all the completely non-issue things, like I'm fine with what a person laughs at as an issue, but not the way their laugh sounds, right?
No, anytime she got a hard question, she would start laughing like a hysterically crazy person.
I think if you're going to look at yourself, I think it's funny that you think a black woman who laughs loudly sounds crazier than a person you've acknowledged never really laughs. Because that's the actual, that's an actual sign of psychopathy.
Race has nothing to do with this.
I think it does.
Nothing to do with this.
But don't worry, I think sex does too.
But hey, you can have your feelings, and that's fine. That's why I do what I do, and I do very well at it, and you do what you do, and I hope you do very well at it.
I think in 2020, a white male version of Kamala Harris ran, and at that point, you didn't feel like you had to vote against her because of the white penis. But then when the same person essentially ran, but in a different package with darker skin, no penis.
No, I was hoping
threatened
that
your
Biden would
masculinity.
I
You
was
voted
hoping
against
Biden
her.
would do okay. See, again, you're doing all these talking points, which are absurd.
Yeah.
But you know,
You haven't
brother,
debunked them yet.
I hope.
Tell me about
Well,
what black
because
friends
you don't know
have.
me personally, you're making that, and I knew that was coming.
You have a lot of
but
black friends?
I don't have to tell you this.
Yeah.
Well, that's none of your business.
Yeah. It's not racist. Some of
Because
my
that's
best
what you're
friends
going
are
to say.
racist.
Oh, you tell me. That's what I was about to say. It's not racist. I got black friends. Yeah. Either way, hey.
Are you saying you don't want to
appreciate the
engage that because you
conversation.
actually don't even have black friends?
Well, I do, but that's
You sure?
neither here nor there.
Oh.
Maybe you should talk
Yeah,
to them
I've
about
got
this.
I've got one I just got off the phone with 30 minutes ago. He lived with me in high school. We lived together after college.
It's funny
best
how
friends
you were
still to
just
this
saying
day.
how I'm not going to make you fall into this trap, and now you're trying to tell me you're literally falling into the trap and doing it right after.
Yeah.
And now
Well,
you're like,
she
oh,
said,
yes, I
she
do.
said maybe,
Here, I'm going to tell you about my black friends. Yeah.
She said I should call him. So, yes. But
Maybe
hey,
he should call us.
appreciate the conversation, fellas. Oh,
Thanks, Adam.
He is way more conservative than I am.
I'll have and listen, if he's also a white supremacist as a black man, you can find it on this channel. I will have no problem telling him so.
Hey, listen, I've been trying to get off the phone for 15 minutes. I've got to go. I've got to finish up some reports before I can start cooking dinner and stuff. So I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a blessed evening. Hopefully you'll pop up on my screen again and we'll talk soon.
I hope so. Next time,
All right,
nobody's holding a gun to your head. We're not conservatives.
Take my number down. If you need someone to holler at tomorrow, give me a call.
That's never going to happen. Thanks, Justin.
All right, bye-bye.
You know it's going well when they have to not go talk about the quality of their evidence. They have to not talk about their evidence versus ours, but instead they want to spend half of the call on what they think is the quality of the debate show, what they think is the flaw of the debate show, what they think, having not watched much, is the quality of the interlocutor, and whether or not when wrong about something, I'm willing to acknowledge it.
If they don't like the show, they don't have to call in.